fellow kids. It is again G.I. Joe or Yo-Jo June. I always mess up and call it G.I. June, so hope you'll forgive me. I'll probably say that like 30 times, and if you are a stickler for things like that, it's going to drive you crazy. I'm going to try to make this quick. I want to share my thoughts on what we've seen so far for Yo-Jo June this year, and give, not necessarily predictions, because I'm just going by sort of the consensus and the usual rumors. I think I should probably mention up at the top that I follow probably a lot of the same sources that you do. Full Force podcast and YouTube channel, Chaz the Guru on Instagram, and G.I. Shark, Punk with Toys. I probably, I could probably list about 30 of them, but those are just kind of the four that pop into my head. And so, so I wanted to, I basically wanted to throw together a summary of things and chatter that I get from the community, not necessarily to be a source myself, but just it's fun to think about and comment on. So let's go ahead and get into it. So we've already had our first pre-orders this week on the 1st, coming out strong. We got the Televiper and the Trouble Bubble. I think this is an amazing set. I wish I could get more, about two of them, because I want to have multiple Trouble Bubbles. I need at least a couple of these army builders. The Televiper holds a lot of nostalgia for me, because that was one of the first action figures that I ever got. He is amazing. I love the way that they recreated the facial expression from the toy. And if you think about it, those little 3 3/4 inch toys had such detail, and it was phenomenal. The artists, or the sculptors and artists that they used to create those toys was amazing. And I think this is a perfect homage to those to those artists, that artistry that we saw back in the 1980s. And of course, the Trouble Bubble looks awesome. I never had one as a kid. I know that it's a little bit of a flimsy toy. I know a lot of people who had one who still have pieces of their childhood Trouble Bubble. So I'm excited to have one of my own. Hopefully this is a little more sturdy, and that's one of the things that you can do with a scaled up toy line that you can't do with 3 3/4 inches. Moving on, and I want to say that I actually put these 4 figures, the 4 pre-orders that went up, in the order of my level of excitement. So so my excitement for the Trouble Bubble set is off the charts. I realized that these pre-orders, this round of pre-orders and reveals and everything else, have been very army builder heavy, and I think that's where I think Hasbro knows where their bread is buttered with the G.I. Joe classified line. I think they realize that a big part of what is making this such a success is the army builders, because we don't want just one trooper, we don't want two, we want a whole squad, and that's what's driving their bottom line with G.I. Joe classified. And I'm going to get to something an observation that the entire community has made, but I want to comment on it, and we'll get to it. But I want to first acknowledge the great work that they did with this bat. Now, this is the 4th bat that we've seen, and I know I've heard some comments that people are tired of bats, and I would agree with everyone on this, except for I except for the fact that they did a great job of adding to the bat to keep it fresh. We've got a new head sculpt, a new hand attachment, and for God's sakes, they should have been giving us a different, at least one new hand attachment for each bat. I mean, that just seems like a no-brainer to me. I also have to admit that I haven't really gone all in on all of the bats. So, for me, I could see if you bought like 10 of the original bats and then you got, 5 or 10 of the Python Patrol bats, and then they hit you with the Crimson bat. And then now they're doing the other, this Arctic bat. And you're thinking like, oh my God, stop it with the bats. I bought 2 of the original recipe bats. I bought 1 Python Patrol bat and 1 Crimson bat. Not necessarily that I predicted that this was going to happen, but I predicted that we were going to get a lot of army builders. And so, having a Crimson squad with Crimson guards and Crimson bats and Crimson other action figures that we'll talk about in a minute. And so I really like this. So I did buy 2. And they've already told us that we're going to get snow serpents. So having a couple of bats in with an Arctic Cobra squad is going to be kind of cool. And I probably use the alternate head sculpt instead of the classic bat head sculpt, just because A, I like it so much. B, I think it's really cool. It makes it a different figure. The one thing that's a head scratcher for me is the bat backpack thing. And I mean, other than I think you could probably like pop the chainsaw into the side part, I'm like, what purpose does this serve? I actually think they could have taken, I don't know, like a little peg and put it on the backside of the chainsaw so you could pop that into his back and leave the backpack out of it. I don't know. That's just me. I'm probably gonna use that new chest piece and the new head. Like I said, that makes it a different figure for me. I don't know if that's a new rifle. I'm not sure if that's the same Zartan Master of Disguise rifle that we got. I don't think so. So I'm digging the rifle. I think that's cool. At least it's not one that's been oversaturated. So nice work on the bat. What I would like to say to Hasbro is, hey, if you're gonna give us repaints, I mean, like, give us some new, or change up the accessories. I mean, at least a little bit. Let's see some effort. And to that end, we've got 0 effort here because this is the exact loadout as the regular Crimson Guard. I think it pops. I think it looks cool. For some reason, this deco makes more sense for the makes more sense than the original 3 3/4 inch Python Crimson Guard or Python Guard or whatever you want to call him. I don't know what to say. I think he looks cool. I'm going to move on because otherwise I'll just be talking for a long time. I've got a soft spot in my heart for Python Patrol, so there it is. Tiger Force Dusty, it looks fine to me. I think he's great. I noticed that a lot of the promo shots had him without the helmet, the head, the whole the helmet with the Havelock, that whole like chunky plastic garbage. I noticed that they were kind of like leaving that out and just kind of like showing him with the goggles. And I actually think he looks cool without that. I would probably I haven't even gotten the regular Dusty because he's not it's a character that I've always liked. I do have a vintage 3 3/4 inch Dusty original one, not the Tiger Force one. And I think this is fine. I think it's cool. It's almost like mandatory that this was, we'd be, we'd be wondering where Tiger Force Dusty was, I mean, if they'd skipped over him. That said, again, if they just kind of varied up the accessories a little bit, I think everyone would be a lot more excited about this. I don't know. I guess the other argument is that so the vintage Dusty, Tiger Force Dusty, the vintage Python Patrol, Crimson Guard, they came with the same loadout as the original figure. Is that mandatory? Do we need that with the classified? I kind of think your Dusty needs to have the same sort of look and feel and accessories like the original Dusty. Your Desert Dusty needs to look like that. Tiger Force, and my argument back is that we're getting the repaints like immediately. I mean, what they were doing in the 80s it was like, I think there was 3 years between regular Dusty and Python Patrol, or I'm sorry, Tiger Force. I think it was might have been 3 or 2 or 3. I can't remember, it was 87 or 88. But anyway, so it was, the repaints came, it was almost like, let's put a new version of these characters, these core characters back out there so that the kids who didn't get them, and I was in that camp, I didn't really get a lot of the 1985 G.I.s. The kids who didn't get those originally can get them. But that's not what they're doing. That's not what their strategy is now. Their strategy is to make the highest amount of revenue with the lowest amount of expense. And part of that is that they do repaints because a big part of that expense is creating the brand new molds for every new action figure. And you see a lot of reuse in parts from one character to another. But with a repaint, I guess they feel justified in giving us the exact same molds, accessories, the exact same stuff, just different deco. And because there was such a short time between the original and the repaint, I don't think they're justified in doing that. I think they need to give us a little more value. And now that I've roasted Hasbro, I guess I guess now it's praising them. I really love what they've done with this figure. Let me pop this open. We got our comparison to the vintage Grunt. Actually, I guess the one thing that I would say is that I don't think the face sculpt was ugly enough. I know they got a lot of heat for Falcon, but Falcon was supposed to be like a good-looking guy, and they just made him look so ugly. And Grunt, Grunt has quite a mug, and I think they could have made him a little bit a little uglier. The funny thing is that the version 2 Grunt that they came out in the 90s or something like that, now that guy was like ugly. But this guy's TV ugly, if you know that reference. Anyway, so yeah, I think this guy looks really cool. I love the inclusion of the steel, I guess they're calling it steel core. We'll just call it Steel Brigade. Come on, we're adults. This is obviously Steel Brigade, even though Valaverse owns the license for the name Steel Brigade. but this looks really good to me. In fact, it looks good enough that I'm thinking I have to figure out how many I'm going to buy, because I have a couple of duplicates that I want to do some kit bashing with, and I think the easiest kit bash in the world would be to take my duplicate of whatever character, pop the head off, put that Steel Brigade head on, and I got a new character. Plus, I want a Steel Brigade that's with this, that has this body, so there's two right there, right? I want Grunt, and I want this guy as a Steel Brigade, plus, plus maybe at least one more, so that I can do some kit bashing, mixing and matching, get another helmet, throw that on another character, and I guess we'll see. But yeah, they did a great job. We've got the M16, which was Grunt's original loadout. Plus, we've got the G.I. Joe laser rifle, that makes sense as a green shirt weapon, for a G.I. Joe army builder. So this is really cool. I've said it a couple of times, and I think what they should do is, I think we should get like a multi-pack with a few heads, maybe a Steel Brigade head or something like that, for generic green shirts. But I think they should give us some variations where we could, two bodies, four heads or something like that, with maybe a variety of beards, different color hair. That way we can decide whether we want to have a short fuse and clutch, or whatever, whatever the other original 13 that we're kind of missing. And so I don't know. I don't know if they're going to release all of those figures, in time, if we're going to get all original 13. But yeah, I really, I think this is cool. I guess I should count them down. We got Breaker, this is Grunt, and then we've got Rock and Roll. And I guess it depends on what version of Hawk we're getting, but I think most people agree that we're probably getting the classic General Hawk and not the I guess he's Captain Hawk. I can't remember what his I guess he was just Hawk. So anyway, yeah, I'm interested to see if they do a Flash. Well, they could do I think they could do a Flash and Grand Slam 2-pack or something like that, or they could do something like this, where it's Flash, like one head is Flash and one head is Grand Slam, and it comes with a bunch of accessories, so it could be either one of them. It could come with the jump jet pack plus and the laser rifle and all that stuff, and they could do it that way. I mean, I think that would be cool. Yeah, just like one figure and a couple of different options for heads and some cool accessories. So well, I guess we'll see. I guess we'll see if that's if something like that comes up. So I think there's some different options for green shirts and the original 13, what have you. I guess the elephant in the room here is that this is the second time we're seeing where they're taking a character and they're also giving it some army builder options. We got that with Big Ben. I thought the alternate head with Big Ben was cool. I just don't know. To me, his body wasn't generic enough to make him an army builder. it was just like, to me, it was just like a different option for Big Ben. So, but this I see a lot of potential with, and I'm interested to see if they do that more, where they're giving us a character, but they're also giving us an army builder option as well. I guess it remains to be seen. And it'll also depend on the sales for those figures. Whether Hasbro will think adding the extra accessories is going to be worth it, because it probably changes up the price point, it changes their whole profitability for those figures. This one was, again, this is a little bit of a disappointment. We're getting an army builder. It's a repaint. It has the exact same loadout as the original classified Viper that we got. I'm not a fan of this gun. This was right in that that original phase of classified where things were more like let's update G.I. Joe, having a little bit more technology and a little bit more armor and updated look works better for Cobra than it does for the G.I. Joes, but at the same time, this looks really stale to my eyes. I probably just get one, just to throw in with my Crimson Strike Force, and I just wanted to put a little bit of a comparison. So this is actually a figure that I have. This came with a set called the Crimson Strike Force. I believe it was a convention exclusive, and this was one of multiple figures that came in that set. So this is the Crimson Viper that came with that set, and the accessories that came with it. They're actually different than the original, it's different than the original Viper. And it comes with this AK-47. This was not a vintage era figure. This was a post-vintage era figure, when they were still doing O-rings in the late 90s to early 2000s, before they kind of had fully transitioned to the modern sculpt 4-inch figures. But yeah, it's a really cool figure. It's not terrible that we're getting this. I just wish we were getting different accessories. I mean, maybe if we got the AK-47, the one that they already have, it would be cool. There were different weapons that came with that 3-pack of Vipers, and it would have been cool to get another one of those rifles, because I actually thought those were cooler than the rifles that we had. I think it's cooler than this rifle. This rifle is definitely it's probably a Nerf gun. I don't even know. So moving on, and kind of wanted to refresh my own memory on what we've had teased but hasn't come up for pre-order. And this Steel Core set, aka Steel Brigade, this is a little different than the helmets are a bit different than what they were showing with Grunt. Grunt had the more vintage version of the Steel Brigade helmet, but instead of the black face shield, eye protection, he had a yellow one. Not going to comment on this. I've already kind of commented on it before. I also already compared it to the original vintage. I think this is cool. I might get one set. I might get two. I don't know. I think it would be cool, because like I said, having having a few army builders is really I think it's really really dope in GI Joe Classified. Moving on. So yeah, so they've already teased Low Light and Firefly and Shadow Tracker and Tunnel Rat. So we are likely to see pre-orders for these. I don't know if there's a lot of, or if there's been a lot of Force line that's a Walmart exclusive, and I've definitely heard that about Shadow Tracker. So we'll see if those are end up being exclusive to Walmart. I hope not. I'm really having a hard time with Walmart right now. They've canceled 3 or 4 of my orders, my pre-orders. I mean, things that I ordered almost a year ago. Yeah, they just straight canceled on me. I don't know if they're going to show up in the store. Have no idea if I'm ever going to get like the Crimson Guard retro carded version, and then I also have the pre-orders for Big Ben and the pre-orders for the Range Vipers, and that's giving me anxiety because I don't know if those are going to be canceled. The other things that I've had canceled were Marvel Legends, and I had a one of the WWE figures that I wanted, that's a Walmart exclusive, was canceled as well. So I don't know what's going on with Walmart. I think, I mean, I've been told that they're gonna cancel that. They're gonna cancel that from their website inventory, because the website inventory and the in-store inventory are completely different. So I'm just gonna see mine on the pegs, and hopefully I'll get them. But I work a job and can't just go to Walmart whenever I want to, or whenever I think, or all the time to check the pegs. So we'll see. And here are some of the name reveals. We got General Hawk, we got Tripwire, Chuckles, Mutt and Junkyard, Big Boa, Shooter, Buzzer, Ripper, can't remember which one's which, and we got the Snow Serpents and Quick Kick. I would love to see all of these. I mean, if some of those on the, I mean, so I had 4 figures on the previous slide. Those plus one of these could be a full wave. However, if 2 of those are going to be Walmart exclusives, then that leaves 3 slots open for these guys to be part of a wave. And so we'll see this, this coming month to see what the next wave of general release figures is going to be. So we could see 3 of these that we haven't even seen teased as a digital reveal. Let's see, just my top 3 on here. Snow Serpents are at the top of the list. Again, army builders. I think it would be really cool. Makes sense to go with the Arctic bats, but sometimes they like to spread those out, spread out the ones that are a similar theme. They kind of want to draw your interest over time, instead of like, all 5 or all 6 of the Python patrols dropping at one time. So you just buy those and then like, oh yeah, well, I've got my collection. I'm not interested in whatever. So yeah, Snow Serpents are at the top of my list. Don't know if we're going to see those. And then the next might be General Hawk. Really, real big fan of General Hawk. This was a figure that I had as a kid. It's a figure that I had to rebuy because I like the character. I think he's a stellar looking action figure. Would love Mutt and Junkyard. Yeah, I mean, I don't know. There's there's a lot to say, but all of these figures are cool. Um, I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know too much about Shooter, but it looks like a cool figure. Um, Big Boa, I kind of want. I want Big Boa, and I want Raptor. I want all the 1980s, and then we are severely lacking in Dreadnoks. I mean, we got Zartan, we got several different Zartans, we got Zorana, and then that's it. Like, but we need some more. We need some more Dreadnoks. So I wanna see a Dreadnok this GI June, Yojo June. I knew I'd say that wrong. And oops, that's what I keep hitting the button. And yeah, Quick Kick, Chuckles, all great figures. And then we also have the mysterious mole rats. Your guess is as good as mine. I've been told that this is a brand new, newly designed army builder for Cobra. But my theory was, my hot take is that that would be a great code name for Crimson Immortals. Mole rats. There's kind of a semi joke about mole rats being immortal because apparently they don't die of natural causes. They always die of some disease or injury or something like that, and therefore they are kind of by default immortal, because they don't have a natural lifespan. I don't need. Well, actually, if someone wants to put the science in the comments, I'd love to hear it. I know that doesn't make them exactly immortal, but I think that's fun. Anyway, I'd love to see Crimson Immortals. I'd love to see what they come up with as a brand new concept. We've seen a few new concepts introduced into G.I. Joe Classified, so this wouldn't be anything new. Moving along, I also expect to see another Transformers G.I. Joe mashup, and specifically, the rumors are that we would be getting a Thunder Machine that transforms into some into I think it's Soundwave, which I mean, other than the fact that that's a core character for Transformers, doesn't make a whole lot of sense to me. But hey, I like Soundwave, so cool. Yeah, let's do it. Let's go for it. Let's get a Thunder Machine that transforms into a Transformer. I just recently opened my Bumblebee, the Striker Bumblebee, which is as far as a concept, it's fine. It's a core Transformer character paired with an iconic G.I. Joe vehicle. I think that's the formula. I don't think it needs to make any sense. A lot of people were saying that it would make more sense if he was Hound, but Hound isn't as well known as Bumblebee. So there you go. And I don't know a whole lot about Transformers, but obviously I was alive in the 80s. I had a couple of Transformers. I didn't have Soundwave. I know who Soundwave is. He is probably one of the top characters that I would love to see. So we'll see if we get him. And we're probably not going to get Thrasher as the pack-in character. They've none of the Transformers have come with the none of the Transformer / G.I. Joe vehicles have come with the appropriate driver. They have always come with some core character. So we got the Baroness with the Megatron, and we got Stalker with Bumblebee. And so You know, what's going to come with the Thunder Machine. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. It could be Destro or Zartan. I mean, Zartan makes sense because he's a dreadnought, and it would probably be like a carded Zartan with no swamp skier. That's probably my guess. I think that's the front runner. Since I'm just talking it through in my brain. And then there's the HasLab. So I think most of the heard are Dragonfly. However, there are a lot of people who think it might be a Snowcat. I think there was something about a G.I. Joe vehicle that could engage the hiss on all fronts. I'm not sure a Snowcat satisfies that description, simply because it's it's specifically supposed to be an Arctic vehicle. Although there's really nothing about a half track that makes it that it would have to be a snow vehicle, except for maybe the missiles with skis on them. Everything else could be adapted for other weather. The fact that it's white, does make it so that it has to be an Arctic vehicle. Maybe it's a Tiger Force, a Tiger Force, a Tiger Cat, Tiger Force version. I don't think they would be able to include enough or like decals or anything that would change the deco that much, so they'd have to commit to either one or the other. I don't know if they would think that a Tiger Cat would have the most appeal. So my guess is that it's going to be a Dragonfly, and you can have Wild Bill with that, and is it Airborne? I think Airborne's supposed to be the co-pilot. So yeah, we'll have to see. The other thing I have to say about HasLabs are, prices are going up. The economy's pretty crazy right now. I'm hoping that the HasLab is priced appropriately and it would be something that is, affordable, but I might end up being priced out, and that's a shame because then there's going to be characters out there that I can't, that I wouldn't be able to get. And that's gonna suck. But anyway, just have to make some strategic choices. My last slide is more wishful thinking than anything else. I'd love to see some mask characters in G.I. Joe Classified. They did that. Sorry, they did that one. What it was Matt Tracker they did in the 4-inch line, and a lot of people expected more characters from Mask to show up in G.I. Joe, and they really didn't. But I think that would be cool to have some in G.I. Joe Classified. I don't think we would get a G.I. Joe Classified scale Mask vehicle, but the other thing that I was thinking about is that we could get it would be cool to get a 1/18 scale Mask vehicle. We're already getting Transformers, and as far as like similar engineering, I think those are comparable. It would really be cool to get a 1/18 scale Mask vehicle. So I'm curious about that. I know that Ramen Toys came out with their own Mask adjacent toys, and just priorities being what they are, haven't gone in on that. And I'm wondering if Hasbro's looking at that. and realizing that there might be a market for for mask. And I think the GI Joe community is one that has that is compatible with mask, and so it would be interesting to see that type of thing. Anyway, that's kind of my rundown. I almost put this summary together for myself so I can kind of refresh my memory on where we are with the G.I. Joe classified line as far as what's been teased and what could be on the table for GI June. I didn't talk about like Super 7 and Hiya Toys. I guess I should mention that I got the I bought my first GI Joe Super 7 reaction action figure. The price point is super ridiculous in my mind. I mean, I think they should be under $15 for a 5 POA figure, but it is what it is. And I bought the red laser because just kind of the novelty of having one of those like Action Force characters is really cool. I know that Red Laser was and they're saving money because they're basically using the same sculpt that they've used for a Cobra Commander, but and I know that he was originally an articulated action figure because he was basically Cobra Commander and Red Deco that they made, that Palatoy licensed or whatever. But it's not, in my mind, the 5 POA GI Joes that Super 7 is making, like that doesn't make sense. But if it's like an homage to the Palatoy thing, it's like, okay, that kind of makes more sense to me. I don't think I would go super hard on anything that was like the Action Force, but I would probably buy more, a few more of the Red Shadows if they came out with them. I mean, come on, Super 7, let's get that Black Major, Baron Ironblood, some Red Shadows, army builders. Hey, get crazy and do the what's the guy, he's like a robot or something. It's slipped my mind. But then there's also the Kraken. Like they could do some wacky stuff, and Super 7 is wacky enough to go in that direction, and they've already broken the seal by giving us one Red Shadows figure. Hopefully we get some more. And then there's also the Hiya Toys, and probably a bunch of other different GI Joe related properties that I'm forgetting. So anyway, that's my editorializing about what we've seen for GI June. Hopefully, GI June, Yojo June. Hopefully we see some more some surprises, and we're really happy with what we've been offered. So anyway, have a good night, and I will see you on my next video, whenever the heck that is. I'll probably do one at the end of GI June to kind of like wrap it up and see how close my predictions were, what surprises we had, and so on and so forth. So anyway, have a good one.